Dave wanted to stop there. And everything was really good, but their brisket had like no flavor. Like there was
Yeah.
no seasoning at all. I'm like, you really need to add some seasoning.
Yeah.
And but other than that, the ribs, we got a sampler platter that we split, and then we still had some to take to the room. The pulled pork was good and the ribs were good. He had a gumbo that he loved.
Mm.
It wasn't a lot of rice. He said it was a lot of meat and just really good. It wasn't super spicy, but a little kick. And
That's really hard to find good gumbo.
yeah, yeah. And he loves
I
stuff
had
like
it in
that.
New Orleans. Well, first we had it in Jackson, Mississippi,
Mhm.
driving on the way to New Orleans, and it was supposed to be the state fair winning gumbo. I thought, this is amazing. This is incredible. I didn't know gumbo could be that good. Then we
Yeah.
went to New Orleans and had a couple of good gumbos. If you ask anybody where's a good gumbo restaurant, they'll say, my mama makes the best gumbo.
Yeah.
And they won't tell
Yeah.
you
Well, it's
what
because
restaurant.
restaurants have to cater to a lot of different tastes,
Yeah.
so they don't try to over season things, but sometimes it just needs that little bit more to
Yeah, and there's a lot
work.
of different kinds, whether or not they use andouille or
Hmm.
shrimp, chicken or whatever, but
Yeah, this had a
good
bunch of
gumbo is
different
hard
things
to
in it.
find. I can't find good gumbo in Chicago, even with all the
Dave
restaurants we have.
Dave will make some good gumbo too. I have a recipe for shrimp creole that I make that comes out real good. And you
Mm.
can make it as spicy or not, as whatever you like.
Mhm.
Sounds good.
And I
Well,
put
we'll get started here.
Cool.
Welcome to the Digital Forum, the latest food show that, since we got talking about food and all the good kinds of food that are out there. But welcome, everybody. Anybody that wants to join the panel, please raise your Zoom hand, and Marty will let you in. We're going to get started here right away because we got a full list of stuff going on. And we have Hazel Meredith here today talking about creativity with your smartphone. So everybody pretty much knows Hazel, but I'll still go through her quick bio because it's always worth for new people that might be here. So Hazel is an award-winning photographer, teacher, competition judge. Since 2007, she has taught seminars, camera clubs, and conferences worldwide, both in person and online. She offers workshops, webinars, and has written 2 ebooks and creative courses on using textures in photography. With her husband Dave, she co-hosts the virtual creative photography conference, which I believe she's got one coming up real soon,
February.
attracting participants from around the world. Hazel enjoys exploring creative photography, post-processing to produce unique images. A dedicated leader in photography community, she received numerous honors, including PSA's Ashbrook Award for Digital Imaging Instruction in 2020. Plus, she knows all about how to make some good food, along with her other seminars. So who knows? Maybe it's something else you'll add to your list.
That'll have to be Dave's thing. He's the
Yeah.
barbecuer, but
Yeah. Oh, I mean,
yeah.
barbecue sounds so good right now. So, all right, Hazel, we'll let you take over. And
All righty. Share my screen. Yeah. All right. So, good morning, everybody. Thanks for being with me again. It's good to be back and see some familiar faces and names. If you've seen my classes before, I always encourage questions at any time. So you can either unmute yourself and ask, or I also have the chat box open. You can feel free to type something in there.
yeah,
Today
and I'll
we're
keep
going,
an eye on it too for you,
okay,
Hazel.
thank you. Today we are doing creativity with your smartphone, and I'm going to use probably a dozen or so different apps. I sent Jeffrey a list that he's going to send out later on that is a list of all the apps I'm using today, whether they're Apple or Android or both. Most of them I'm using are both. And also on the list is also the icons you would see like in the app stores, because sometimes there's more than one app with a very similar name. So that way you're getting the right thing. And with that, let me share my iPad. I'm working on the iPad just because it's makes it bigger on the screen for you guys to see what I'm doing. And because you can't see where I'm clicking, I will point out like to let's go. Oh, all right, it's mirroring, but it's not mirroring to Zoom. Oh, I just have to move it on top, I think. Let me move that over there. All these different screens, and you can let me
Yeah.
know if you can you see that?
Yep.
Yeah, now we see your iPad.
Perfect. All right, so let me turn that off. There we go. Great. All right. So we're going to start first with Snapseed, which is this in the third row. I want to keep using my mouse and I can't use my mouse. Where's my pencil? I do sometimes use an Apple Pencil when I'm doing these on my iPad, but you can also just use your finger to work most of these apps. Sometimes that's easier with some of them. Get my iPad propped up here on my thing so I can work. There we go. So the Snapseed is the third row, second one in, the green leaf looking one. Snapseed is available for both Apple and Android, and it's free. And it does not have ads because it's owned by Google. So you don't have any ads in it. So we're going to start here, and it just will show some of your most recent images. On the bottom, they just updated this within the last month or so, maybe 2 months. Totally revamped the whole layout. So if you have an older version, it's going to look very different than what you see me using today. And I didn't realize they had updated it. And I was doing this seminar for another club about 6 weeks ago. I went, oh, where did everything go? So to now open an image at the bottom, you're going to hit that green circle with the plus sign. And then you can go to your photos in general, or I have things for today in a folder. Find it. There we go. And then we're going to open up our image and we're going to start with this tree. This was a shot I took somewhere in Virginia on all of our trips back and forth between Connecticut and Tennessee. We moved to Tennessee, actually next week will be 6 years. So we made lots of trips back and forth. And yes, Dave was driving when I took this out the side window, but I like this, the tree against the foggy background. So we're going to do a whole lot to dress this up. First thing I want to do is straighten this image. So we're going to go into, on the bottom row, you have auto, you have adjust, selective, crop, and healing. I'm going to go into the crop function. And this little slider at the bottom, you're going to move your finger left and right over the slider to straighten things. Okay, so I'm just going to move it till it looks about straight to me. I'm looking for the ground to be straight, not necessarily the trees. And then I am going to crop this just a little more. So I'm going to come in some on the right, a little bit here, and come down just a little bit. And I'm going to come over on the left just to get rid of that piece of tree that's on the edge. Okay, and I'm going to hit on the lower right the check mark to accept that change. And then we're going to first use a preset, and then I'm going to go into editing. So on the very bottom, we have looks, faves, and tools. So looks are what they call presets. And I'm going to use this one kind of in the middle called morning. And that's going to get us started on our path. Then I'll hit the check mark at the bottom to accept that. And then we're going to go into our tools. And these used to all be in kind of one big menu. Now they've broken it down, so it makes it a little bit easier to find what you want. So the top section, adjust and correct, are all your basic corrections. Then you've got retouching, styles, and some of the creative apps. So we're going to go to the very top left and use adjust. And that's where you'll find all of your something new, I guess. At the bottom, you see brightness. And if you click on that, there's a menu. And these are all of the things that you can adjust in here. And with this one, I'm going to start with contrast. And I'm going to go +8. And then you don't necessarily have to click back on that tab at the bottom. If you just slide your finger up anywhere over the image, it'll pop that menu back up. So I'm going to add a little bit of saturation and a little bit of ambience. And then we're going to bring down our highlights. And we're going to add just a touch more warmth. Even though it's pretty warm, I'm going to add just a little bit more. And of course, every setting is going to be different depending on your image. So it's always good to just, pick the sliders, try the different functions and see what you need to adjust your image. In the bottom right, again, is the check mark to accept that. And now I'm ready to save this. So I'm going to kind of click off of the side of that, close down that menu a little bit. And then in the top right, we have the arrow pointing up. We're going to click on that to save. And I always do the save a copy. And you can further edit that if you need to. So it doesn't save over my original that way. So this could be done at this point, but of course, if you know me, I like to keep playing with things, and we're going to take this into another program. So we're going to close that. Next one I'm going to use is probably one of my favorite programs because all know me, I like textures. So we're going to use on that same third row, distressed effects. And it's the one that looks like the bird icon. And you'll notice I have two versions. There's distressed effects, which is the original. And then the multicolored one is distressed effects plus. The difference, I had gotten distressed effects years ago, and I think it was like $1.99 for the program. And then each additional pack of textures or overlays or birds and other things they have were 99 cents each. Then they came out with Distressed Effects Plus, which just increased last year because they made some major updates to it. The Plus version is $13.99, and it includes all current and future texture packs included. So that's a one-time fee. It's not a subscription. I'm very happy that this program is still being updated because the gal who was the co-creator of it passed away almost 2 years ago, but her programmer has kept it up. And as I mentioned, they just did some major upgrades to it in the last few months, and I'm really thrilled with what they can do now. So when you open this up, this is just a default image that pops up. So to open my image, I'm going to go to the upper left and click on the camera and then choose picture. And you'll notice it opened up my library, and the top left picture is the one that I just saved. So we're going to click on that one. Makes it a little bit easier. I don't need to crop because I've already done that. So I'm just going to hit the check mark, and that will open it into my workspace. So on the bottom, we have two rows of textures. The top row is more like what I consider overlays that are more color-based than actual texture-based. And you can see the bottom row is very texturized. So if you scroll over to the far right on each row, you'll see on both of them there is a switch pack, and that's where you can go to the other packs of textures. And on the bottom one is a custom button, which the last time I tried this, it wasn't working. So we'll see if it works today. I forgot to email them and let them know that, where you can actually import one of your own textures. It doesn't save it in here, as something you can access again, but you can always save it from your library at any time. So I'm going to change the top pack to Beyond Skies. And you can see there's a few in here. There's a lot more in the other grouping. So if you like to work with textures a lot, buying the plus version is definitely the way to go. And I'm going to use the one over towards the left called Fury. And that's going to be very dramatic, but it's a little too strong. So I want to adjust the opacity of this. So just above those two rows of textures on the right-hand side, we're going to hit the little sliders, and this will let us adjust it. So the left button adjusts brightness, the bottom is saturation, the right is contrast, and then the slider at the bottom, I'm going to pull back to about there and bring down the opacity of that a little bit. Then I'll hit the X to close this panel. And then on the bottom row, I'm going to switch to, and you can see there's a lot more in here. I'm going to go to Sky Beauty. And I'm going to use this one called Una. And I added just a subtle texture to that one. And then sometimes I like to add a third texture. So in order to do that, if I were to do that now, and choose something else, it would override what I've already done. So what I want to do first is I'm just pressing anywhere on the photo, press and hold, and this will pop up, and that will let you flatten this image, and then that becomes your original. If you want, you could save this first if you wanted to save this version of it. Because I've done this a bunch of times, I won't. So now this is my base image, and now I can choose anything I want from either of these two rows. I'm going to go back to the texture pack, the neutrals. Just this one. And I'm going to choose this one called Flutter. And of course, that's a little bit heavy, so I'm going to reduce the opacity. You can also change blending modes. You see, if you look at that texture at the bottom, it says overlay. If I click in there again, this is where you can change multiply, overlay, hard light, soft light, or screen. It's a more limited list than what you see in Photoshop because these are the blending modes that you use pretty much all the time with textures. So I'm going to leave it at overlay, and I'm going to click my slider, and I'm going to pull that back a little bit. Then the last thing I wanted to do is I said, it'd be really great if there were some birds flying out of that tree. So we have an icon here, the second from the right, the bird. And we have different packs of birds. We have white birds. We have also trees. We could add more trees. There's lots of different birds in here. And I'm going to use by the wire. And I want the one called Harvest Flock. So now I want to move this so it looks like my birds are coming out of the tree. So you can just slide it with one finger to move it. To resize it, I'm just going to pinch with two fingers. And that's about as big as it would go, but you could bring it smaller. I want them to look like they're coming up out of that tree. You could also adjust the opacity with the slider if you need to, but I think at 100% that looks good because they're not real heavy. And hit the check mark to accept. And there you have it. That's this part of this image. And now I'm going to show you how to add a watermark to this as well. So we're going to save this in the upper right, hit that up arrow, and save image. And there you go. And if you want to save it on Instagram, you can do that. So next, we're going to add a watermark to this if you wanted to share it on social media or something like that. So there are some programs that are made to add watermarks, and I've tried a few of them and was never really impressed with them. They were just cumbersome and hard to use. And I found one that's designed for blending two images, and it works great for my watermarking. Oh, and by the way, Distressed Effects is Apple only, unfortunately. I've searched for something on Android that is similar, and I can't find anything. So Image Blender is the red squares on the left side. And when you open it, you just get this blank screen. And you'll notice at the bottom and the left and right corners, there's little gray squares. So we're going to click on the left square, and we're going to go to Photos. And again, here's the one we just edited. So I'm going to click on that. And then on the right side, so that becomes the bottom image of the two. On the right side, I'm going to click on that square, go to Photos. I'm going to go to my album for today. And I'm going to choose my logo. Now this is a PNG file. I created this in Photoshop and I use it on things in Photoshop as well. So it has a transparent background. So of course I don't want it to cover my whole image. So up at the top, we're going to hit the one that looks like a plus sign with the little arrows. and that's going to let us resize. And all you're going to do is pinch, and then we can slide it where we want it. We'll say save in the upper right to save that sizing. And then to adjust the opacity of that over the bottom layer, the circle at the very bottom, we're going to slide that over. And depending on the image, I'll do between usually 70 and 80%, unless it's, a really busy image and it needs to be a little bit heavier. So we'll now save that again, upper right, and save to photos. And there you have it.
That was good timing because we had a question on how to add copyright to an image.
There you go.
You just can't do it with Snapseed. You need this other program.
Right. I find this to be really easy. An image blender, this is for both Apple and Android. In the Apple store, it's called Image Blender, and it's $3.99. And the last time I checked in the Android store, it's called Photo Blender, and it was free. And there's also, on the list that I'm sending, there's also some other Android apps. There's an article I put a link to, the best photo blender apps for Androids. So you can check that out as well.
Okay.
But I really like this one. Sure.
But
Yeah, we have.
You can add it in Snapseed not quite as efficiently, but you can use it in Android or in Snapseed. So you could add a basic copyright in it. You're just not going to be able to add it like your PNG file was really.
Yeah. And like I said, I've tried several apps that are designed for watermarking too, and I just found them to be very cumbersome and not easy to use. So I found, using this for me, it works out as best. And of course, there's always, like with Photoshop, there's always 5 ways of doing things and different, programs that will work on it. So if you have one that you like, that you've tried, that's fine. This is again showing you my workflow.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
And I saw Sydney says he deleted the old version of Snapseed and downloaded it again on an Android. It still looks the same as the old version. I'm not sure if the Android version updated too. They may still be working on that. Sometimes one will update before the other. I'm working on, the Apple version. So it could be just that they haven't gotten that updated yet, but I'm sure they will. Companies, because they're totally different technology for the 2 platforms. So it's like they have to, do each one separately. Okay. So, and again, this one is both the Apple and Android. So once you've saved it, you'll see in the upper right, it says start over on a clean project. And that means if you know you're not using this right away and you just want to have it be blank when you come back in here, you can just say yes, and it will just open up to that gray screen. If I'm like the other day when I was away, I was editing a bunch of images to put on, Facebook, and I just didn't say yes. And then I could go in and press the left screen or the left square and say remove that image, and then click it again and pick a different photo. But it kept my logo there, so I didn't have to go searching for it again. So that's another way you can do that. Okay. All right. So next we're going to do, we're going to use, most of these projects I'm using more than one app on them. So this one we're going to start with Retouch, and that's next to Snapseed here. It looks like the green pencil. It used to be called Touch Retouch, which still shows up there. No, you don't need to track me. No, I don't need to do that. And this is great for removing power lines, removing objects. This works way better than the healing in Snapseed. I don't like Snapseed's healing. Unless it's something really tiny, it doesn't do a great job. This is much, much better. It used to be a one-time fee. Now they've gone to various levels of subscriptions. It does have a free trial. So you can check that out. It's both Apple and Android. So you need to look at their site. You could even, usually these apps too, if you're not sure about them, you can look up information sometimes online if you just Google the name, and you can get some basic info there. But I love this one. I learned about this years ago from somebody else who was teaching smartphones. I mean, long before I think I wasn't even teaching then at one of the camera clubs, and I use this all the time. All right, so next we're going to go to this image of straw flowers. So there's a few things in here I need to remove. I got this weird red kind of stripe on the left side, and then I want to get rid of that partial flower on the right with its stem. So on the bottom, we have objects, lines, meshes, a clone stamp, and a blur. Most of the time I'm using either the objects or the lines. So for this, we're going to use objects, and I'm going to use the brush. There is a lasso tool and an eraser tool, but usually I have good luck with this, and I'm just running my finger down the side and highlighting that area, and then I'm going to hit the go button, and it's gone. So I did a great job there. And I'm going to zoom in a little so that we can work on this section better. So it's kind of like when you're doing healing in Photoshop, sometimes you have to maybe hit things twice or, do it in sections. So first I'm going to start with the flower and say go. And it's going to complete that stem, which is fine. And I'm going to use I've just been using my finger, but now I'm going to use my pencil because I want to get a little more detail around the edges of the flower there. And you can use any kind of stylus. It doesn't have to be an Apple Pencil. I also sometimes use some ballpoint pens have like the rubber stylus at the end. You can use that as well. But if you're on Apple, I do highly recommend an Apple Pencil. And I have a very old iPad. This is like version 2. I think they're on like version 10 now. But it's like, why buy a new one? So it works fine. So you can see this one did a little kind of weird thing there. So just like in Photoshop, you may have to undo a step. So up at the top, there's an undo button. And I'm going to undo it again to get rid of the highlight. And I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this. When I did this the first time, I really took my time and got very precise to where I wanted to be. And it just, takes a little bit of working at it. Let's see if we can get rid of this piece. And again, we have a little weirdness going on there, but we'll just try and get rid of some of that quickly. Not cooperating today. Of course not, right? Always when you're doing something live. So we'll go back to that part. Let's get the easy part first. We'll get rid of this. Oh, that's because I didn't go all the way to the bottom. That's why. There we go. That's better. And again, you can, work at this, and I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it because I've got lots of stuff to show you. So we'll see what we can do real quick here and do that. Yeah, not too bad. For what we're doing, it'll work. And I also wanted to get rid of this little leaf under here. There we go. All right, so that works for that. So I'm going to go ahead and save this. So in the upper right, we're going to hit the up arrow and then save a copy. And there we go. So that is now, should be saved. Did it save? Oh yeah, it processed it. Okay, it's saved. So we can close that. And next we're going to take this into Snapseed. So we're going to go back to our Snapseed, go back a screen, hit our plus sign. And if I go to the photos, it should be the last one here. There we go. So in this, we're going to do a look. And I'm going to use the one called Pop. And that's going to almost give it like an HDR kind of look and kind of add some texture to that background. It really made the petals kind of crisp up. So I thought that one was pretty cool. And then we're going to go into our tools, and I want to do a little cropping. And I can never find where things are anymore. You still got to get used to this new screen. It just, oh yeah, here it is. When it was a different way for a long time. Sort of crop that down. And then I'm going to do some adjustments. And I'm just going to do some contrast. I'm going to go just a little bit. Come on. And then a little bit of ambience. And I'm going to bring down my highlights. There. We'll say okay. And then we're going to export that and save a copy. Okay, now we're going to do one more thing because I want to add a texture to this, one of my own. So we're going to go back to our image blender. And this is what image blender was kind of designed for. So I'm going to actually remove that from that side because we're not going to do a logo. We're going to go into photos, the one we just edited. Then on the right side, photos. I'll go to my folder. I have too many folders. I need to get rid of some of these, I think. There we go. All right, and I'm going to use this texture. And I'm going to move this all the way to 100% right now. Why is it showing down there? No, is that too small? That's weird. Never had that do that. Cancel. Usually it just pops right over top of it. Always something that's
Yeah, always something to mess you
yes,
up.
definitely. Usually it just goes right over the whole thing, but it looks like it's really tiny down here. I don't know why. So let's go. Let me.
Can you pinch and zoom on that layer?
That's what I'm trying to do, and then it's not letting me
Do anything.
do anything for some reason. Let's remove it.
Try it
Try
again.
again.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's try bringing it in again. That's odd. The joys of live
Yep.
demonstrations, right? Sometimes they work and sometimes, yeah, for some reason this image is either really big or because this one is pretty good sized. Let's see if I can. I'm trying to get rid of everything here. No, I don't need that. Cancel that. Yes. Reset. There we go. For some reason, I hit reset arrange and now it's where it's supposed to be. Odd. Okay. You never know. So,
Yeah.
all right, so I'm going to move my opacity back. I want it to be somewhere around 40%. And I'm also going to change the blending mode. And to do that in here, up at the top, the center icon of the two squares that are intersecting, this gives you all the blending modes just like Photoshop does. So I'm going to use soft light. And there you have it. And again, it just like with Photoshop, when you're working with blending and textures, and even if you're blending 2 inches, you have to play around with the blending modes and then the opacity. And if you wanted it, now to be stronger, you could always move it up a little bit more. You could also mask it off the flowers if you wanted to. Let's see. I think if we hit, no, I don't want to do that. Oh yeah, I want to do the mask. So to mask it, I can't see it. I don't usually do masking in here, so that's why I'm hesitating. There we go. You can bring back the opacity more so you can see what you're masking. So let's try that. So if we wanted to, there we go. mask off of our flower, we can do that. And I'm just doing this really quick, but you could, again, you would be more precise where you wanted it. But if you didn't want any texture on your flower, just on the background, you could mask it off like that real quick. And of course, you would, be more precise around the edges, and then we can bring that back up. There we go. And we can adjust the opacity of both things here. So we got our flowers at 100% now, and then our texture, you can reset. Say save. There you go. So you can have your flowers be brighter and have that texture on your background. And then you would go ahead and save that and save to photos. Okay. Yeah, I think we got everything. Thank you, Ken. Ken says this is amazing on cell phone photo imaging. Yeah, you could do a lot with your phones. I tell you, when I shoot nowadays, I just did 3 workshops over the last 3 weeks, and I only used my camera a couple times at a couple places we were at. I was using mostly my cell phone. It just takes just as good of pictures, and it's so much easier. I only used the camera when we were at a couple waterfalls, things like that where I needed the longer exposure.
Yeah.
All right.
Sure.
So next we are going to do, we're going to go back to our retouch, and we're going to get our barn image. So obviously we've got lots of power lines here, and this is what retouch does the best. So we're going to click on the bottom on lines. You can do the whole line at a time, or when I get down to doing like those yellow guides and the shadows on the barn, I'm going to go into segment because sometimes it works better if you're doing smaller parts at a time. But a line like this that's against, a sky or pretty much any background, all I'm going to do is I'm taking my pencil and I'm just going to draw a line, and I don't have to be exactly on the power line. When I let go, I have this one set on auto. It's going to find that line and it's gone.
Oh,
You can change from auto to manual where you would have to hit OK. You can change that at the bottom here. It's like the most amazing thing in the world. And because these two are close together, you might have to do 2 strokes to get rid of everything if it doesn't find it exactly. There you go. Simple as that. And then if there's a little smudge here, I'm going to just try and go over that. There you go. Or you could use the object to get rid of that. Then I'm going to zoom in because now we have some smaller wires and things. So now I'm going to switch to segment. Actually, first, before I do that, I'm going to use the objects and get rid of this telephone pole. That's over here. Now I'll go back to lines. I'm going to do segment. And it will even let you do, like I said, these yellow guide things, covers over the wires. And this little spot there. And if it doesn't quite get it right, again, you can undo. Let's go back one more. And when you undo this, it will actually let you like change where the wire is, where you want it to find the wire. And see if that works. There you go. That worked a little better. Then we got a little spot there. And then this one I like to use the segments. If you go too much when it's a busy background, sometimes it does some weird things in there. Don't like that one. So we could go back again and just do the auto. That works better. So you can, do that with all of these lines as well. I mean, this is just like the greatest thing in the world. And there you have it. Again, I would be more precise doing it, on my original shot, but I want to speed things up because I've got lots of stuff to show you. So now I'm going to save this one. So in the upper right, hit our arrow, save as copy. Then next we're going to go into Snapseed and go back, plus sign. And I want to straighten my barn and the silo a little bit. So in here, we're going to go into tools. And I think it's under crop. No, let's go back. There we go. I want perspective. Yep, next to crop. So when you hit perspective, I'm using the free one so I can transform it the way I want it to. And all you do is on each of these arrowed circles, just pull it out. Pull this side this way. And if it makes it look too short, you can also stretch it up a little bit. Sometimes it, shortens it, trying to keep it in the size of the image. And say, okay. And then next I want to do a little bit of cropping. So I'm going to get rid of that over there. Come in here. Oops. There. Maybe come down just a little. Okay. And then do just a couple of adjustments. I want to bring the brightness down just a tad. And then contrast. Add a little bit there. And a little bit of warmth. Just a hair. Hit the check mark. I'm going to save that one. Save a copy. Now we're going to do two more programs on this one. So we're going to use another new one. Below retouch, there's one called Pixthromatic. It's hard to say. Looks like the little camera. This is Apple and Android. It is a different icon for both, so they're both on the sheet that you're going to see. There is a free version, or it's $11.99 a year for premium. I think I have the free version because I don't use this one a lot, and I know I'm not paying $11.99 a year for it. It's got some really cool filters. I like it for the borders it has as well. So when you first open this, you can see under the circle called Fresh, that's the last thing I edited. So I can now just click on that and it will open up the image that we just did. So at the bottom, you'll see there's 3 different categories. So this category is all of it's kind of like toning effects. They're in alphabetical order and they're all by people's names. I'm going to use the one called Sophia. And the second category, this one I don't think I've ever found anything to use it on, but it has different lighting effects like bokeh and things and light leaks and things like that. Different kind of stuff. That one's kind of cool, but I'm not going to use any on this image. And then the third icon is the frames, which I love. And my favorite probably is this grunge white one. So we're going to use that on this one. And to save in the bottom right, we're going to hit the down arrow and the down arrow again. And I always save it at the original size. And then save image. Okay, and then the last thing we're going to do is I'm going to take this back into Distressed Effects. And we're going to see if it lets me use my own texture this time. So let's go to the camera, choose picture. Again, there's the last one we edited. And I want to, first I'm going to add some birds. So we're going to go into the birds and do lofty birds. And I'll use the one called Gust. So now I want to resize this. I want to make it a little bit smaller. And I'm going to move it so they're coming up from the silo. And I might bring back the opacity just a tad on that one. Say okay. Now to use your own texture, you have to be on that original pack. That's the only one that will show up that custom. So I'm going to go back to the original textures and then over to custom. And let's see if it works this time. Yeah, it's giving me, I have to email them on this. I'm going to jot myself a note. Give me 1 second because I'm going to forget later. And I know they'll want to know that either I'm doing something wrong, which I don't think I am. There. Or it should be giving me a pop-up where I can go to my, let's see if we hit that. Yeah, it's not bringing anything in. It's not letting me actually add my texture, which I should be able to do. But let's see if we can find something in here for now. The one I had was kind of it was a black and white. So let's see if we can make one of these work. And anytime, like with any textures, it's just trying one to see what you like and what looks good for your image. Kind of like that one. And then we can lower the opacity of it a little bit more, just a little something else to add some texture to that sky especially. So, okay. And there we have it. Up arrow and save image. And there you have that one. So I like to play with the different programs together. It's updated. And try different things and, you know, get to a result that you like. So you're not always limited to one program. So, if, you know, do play around with stuff. So I had looked for quite a while for a good app to do a sketch effect. And the one I like best, it's next to Image Blender, the bird here called Sketch Master. The Sketch Master is the Apple version. There is it actually is the same thing for Android, but it has a different icon, which is also on your sheet. They do have a free version, but the ads are just extremely annoying. The paid version is only $1.99, and it's not showing up now because I already have it, but to upgrade to get to the upgrade version, in the upper left, there'll be an arrow, a brown arrow. Click on that, and that would take you to do the upgrade because the ads are just all over the place on this thing. I've had this one for a long time, and I use this anytime I want to do this kind of an effect. This is the one I use. So we're going to click on the pictures. I go to my folder, and we're going to do, what am I doing here first? Yeah, I think I skipped something here. I skipped ahead, I think. There we go. All right. So we're going to go with, let's use this car. I know I've already done some work to this, as you can tell. I did some work in Snapseed with it, added one of their like vintage toning things, which is a cool effect. But now I want to do a sketch out of this. So we have a couple of controls. Up at the top is going to give you all the different sketch effects. And for this one, I used Pencil Sketch 3. There's also color versions of things. You could do kind of cartoons. There's some painterly ones, oil painting, different brushes. So, you kind of have to go through and really try what you like for your particular image. And I like this one. It wasn't like, it almost has a slate sepia tone to it, which I liked. And then I like that effect. So I'm going to hit the green check mark in the upper right. And now I want to go in the lower right is going to be where you can find all the other things you can do to your image here. So there are other effects, there are frames, you can add text. Cancel. I didn't want to click that. You can add text, you can add stickers, you can do adjustments, sharpness, focus, all kinds of stuff here. So I'm going to go into the frames and I chose the one called Grit, which added just a little bit more white border over the ragged edges that this, the effect had itself. And I kind of like that. And then, so we'll say apply. And then we're going to go into enhance. And there are different settings here. So you have high def, made it a little bit darker, a little more pronounced. Scenery is almost the same. Food, darkened it all. Portrait brightens it. And then the night really brightened it up. So I went with the high def version. I thought it made it just a stronger effect. And under adjust, you can control the brightness, the saturation, the contrast, and the warmth. And I moved it over to this way and added a little bit, changed the warmth a little. We're going to apply that and we're done. So then to save this in the upper right, we're going to hit the arrow pointing right and save and high res. And it was saved. And there you have it. So that's the effect we did there. I'm going to show you one other in this program. So we're going to go to home, click here, and we're going to go back to our folder. And we're going to do this one. This is from one of our Route 66 workshops we've done. So this one I'm going to do, actually, you can take it into retouch and get rid of that power line in the upper left. It's kind of hard to see with the dark sky, but there is one there. And in here, I'm going to do brush 5. I wish they would put these all in alphabetical or group all the brushes together because they're not, and it gets hard when you're teaching. We're going to use brush 5. And I'm going to save this. And I'm going to show you something else cool I'm going to do. So we're going to save that and save. Then we're going to take this into Image Blender and see if I can get the sizes to work right this time. On the left side, I'm going to go to Photos and I'm going to open the original. The color version. Then on the left side, we're going to open the black and white version. And then by moving the slider, we can make it kind of black and white and just bring back a little bit of color. So that's another cool way you can get a unique effect by combining your color and your black and white images. So Image Blender can be used for a lot of things. We can go more color. I kind of like it probably about there, like a faded color with that sketch effect makes it look more like colored pencils instead of just a regular pencil effect. So any questions? Anybody have any questions on anything? I think we've answered
so
the
far
ones
we're
we've had.
looking good. Yeah.
Yeah. I know I'm throwing a lot of stuff at you, so you can always watch the replay and watch them again and try some of these things with your own images. So let's save that one.
Yeah, I always couldn't remember which one did the sketch effects, and I like that sketch effects.
That's the best one I found. I've tried a whole bunch before I landed on that one, and I think this one has the best effects, and it's not expensive. It's not a subscription, and it for me it works better than a lot of the others I've tried.
Yeah.
So now I want to show you this one called Lens Light. This one is an Apple only. It's $4.99. I had seen it on, I don't know if it was on Facebook or somewhere online. I had seen somebody use it and I just thought it was really cool. So we're going to go into photos, and it can do a lot. And I probably haven't utilized everything. I know I haven't utilized everything it can do. First, we're going to start with this country road. So this was a shot I took on the Blue Ridge Parkway. Actually, the Skyline Drive. I take that back, in Virginia. And it had just rained. We had a big thunderstorm. We were parked in this pull off to the lower right. And once the rain stopped, the sun started coming out. You can see a little bit in front of the trees of the light starting to come through. So I wanted to emphasize that and put some light rays in here. So we're going to click on the bottom where it says effects. And these are all the different categories. We have lens flares, lights and glows, bokeh and glitter, sun collection, and a radiance pack. I'm going to go with lens flares. And you can see there are a lot of things in here. And these are all very customizable, which I liked. So I'm going to use this one called Glint. And it's just going to plop it in the middle of the image. And then I'm just going to use my fingers and pinch for size. And I actually don't want the sunbeam itself in the image. So once I get it where I like it, I'm going to make some settings first and then we can move it. Actually, I should probably move it first. So I'm going to move the sunbeam itself off the image. And then we're going to go into edit. And this is going to let us change the scale, the size of it, the brightness, and the aspect, which is going to change the actual sunbeams. So I want them to be kind of mostly pointing, the strongest one's pointing down. I might brighten it a little and then change the scale so we can see those coming down more. Now I'm going to pinch and move it again, and sometimes it kind of resets some of these settings and makes it move down again, but we can kind of play around with it a little. It takes some playing, but it's a whole lot of fun and it does a really good job. So let's do that and see if let's change the aspect now. And the brightness. And that looks, I think, pretty good. We got some coming down towards the road, which is kind of what I was going for. And again, you could keep playing with it, and you can also change the color if you wanted it to be maybe a little more in the yellow side. You can do that as well. You can add, you can see the colors changing even a little bit around it. So that's one way you can use this, just by adding one filter. So to save it in the upper right, hit this up and save. Next, I'm going to do a concert shot. So we're going to go back to the upper left to the down arrow, go to photos, go to my album. And I'm going to do something with this. So this is one of my favorite groups. They're called Home Free. It's an all vocal group, a cappella. They have a great beatboxer, the guy on the left. I've seen them like 7 times in concert. So they won, there was a show called The Sing Off years ago, which I didn't see, but they won that show and that was kind of their launch. Anyway, look them up online. They've got lots of videos. Cool group. So what I wanted to do here was the spotlights in the top center, I thought could be a little more accenting the 3 guys in the middle. So I'm not cropping anything. So we're going to click on that. Then we're going to effects. And I'm going to go to, instead of lens flares, I want lights and glows. And there is one called Spotlight. Actually, I use the search cone on the bottom here. So it's going to apply it at full strength. And again, we can adjust this. So I'm going to move it so it looks like it's coming from my spotlight. Maybe make it a little bit smaller. And then go into the edit. And we're going to lower the brightness a little, change the scale a little bit, maybe lower the opacity just a little. And that looks pretty good. Maybe just a little bit more. And move it back up a little. And now I want to add two more. So in here, you can actually add multiple effects because you can do layers. So at the bottom, you'll see you can do masking, and then there's a layers button. So there's our first one. So I'm going to click on the next empty one, click on my search cone again, and now we're going to move this one over here. And then go into edit, and we can adjust our settings. So now we have a spotlight on Tim. Then we go back to layers, add one more. This over here. Add one onto Rob's head. Scale it down a little. There you go. So you could, do that as much as you wanted. Again, you can also change the colors. If I wanted the light to be more blue, I could slide it down to the blues a little if I didn't want it so white. And you could do that for each one. But it's a fun way to play. And there's just so many different effects in here. I said, if you go into, you can see there are light leaks, different, like you can add a rainbow. You can add, glow streaks. You can do all kinds of fun stuff with an image. You've got glow lines. There's just so many things you can do to an image. It's a really fun one. I say this one's $4.99. It's a one-time thing, but it is Apple only. But it's a really, really cool app. That one I use all the time, but when you need those special effects, you can add some sunlight, like in a landscape shot as well. Just brighten things up, all different rays. And then if we go back to this list, you've got different bokeh effects. Then you have the sun collection, so you can add sun, you can get, a setting sun line. You can even add an eclipse, sunset, all kinds of stuff. So check that one out because it's a lot of fun. All right, how are we doing on time? We're good. I got a couple more things for you. So next we're going to go to my next favorite suite of apps. And this one is by a company called JixiPix, Jixipix. They make lots of apps. I have a whole bunch of them on here, and they also make apps for your computer. There's info on the sheet, and I have the set called, I think it's the, gosh, oh, I forgot. I should write it down. I think it's the Premier Collection. It's like 18 apps. The regular price is, I think, $119, but the hint is to wait till Black Friday because it's usually half price. The other thing that's cool, if you buy anything from them, whether it's a phone app or whatever, because it ties into your email, in December for the last probably 4 or 5 years that I'm aware of, they do 12 days of Christmas. And each day they will have one app. Sometimes it's a free app for your phone. So I did not buy all of these. I got a lot of them for free, or the discounts on something for your computer. Each are only available for that one day. So you need to keep an eye out for those if you're interested in it. These are both Apple and Android. The computers are both PC and Mac. Most of these individual apps are $1.99, a few are $2.99, and a couple of these Pro ones, which I got for free, are like, I think, $5.99. My favorites are Vintage Scene, Impresso is like a painting look impression, Grunge-tastic, and Dramatic is their black and white, which I use for my black and whites now. And then you can see, and Chromatic Edges are really good. I have that one on my computer as well. And I like that on there. You have oil painting, another aquarella watercolor painting, another Simply Water. Simply HDR works pretty cool. The NIR color is a fake infrared. Portrait Painter, rainy days, you can add rain, you can add snow. Rip Picks is like the torn paper effects. Panographic is all different, like layered paper effects. Mokuhanga it's a cool one. It's based on Japanese painting techniques. And you've got chalk writing and then some pro versions and spectral art. That one reminds me of, if you've used Topaz Studio, the remix filter. It's actually, I take that back. It's more like the glow filter. Remix is like the other one we're going to use. So I'm actually don't want to use that one right now. Let's go back here. So we're going to do just a couple things because they all work basically the same layout. They're very simple and they're all very customizable. So we're going to Vintage Scene. And I'm going to go there is some power lines we could remove, but I'm going to go right into the app because we're getting long on time. So to open your app, you're going to, on the bottom, Get Photo. And then we're going to go to our album. And I'm going to use which one am I using? Oh, the Old House. So when you open it, it's going to randomly apply an effect. Don't worry about that. It's most likely not going to be the one you want. So the only thing that really changes in the layout is based on the app that you're using is on this white toolbar at the bottom. Depending on the app, those icons will change. So home is where we'll come back to this screen to save it. The star is where we're going to find all of our presets. This one has 3 categories: Vintage Scene, Antique Photo, and Faded Time. I'm using Faded Time number 9. And we're going to make some changes to that. So we're going to click on the next icon to get our first set of adjustments. So you can change the image age looking, image strength, enhance image, and the paper age. I'm going to, under image age, I'm going to change this color. So I'm just going to click in the color box and it'll bring up your regular old color picker. And I'm going to, I can't type in the number, so I'm going to use my sliders because, of course, having done this before, I have this written down. And out there. So I didn't want it quite as the color that they had. I want a little bit more brown tone, more of that sepia look. And then image strength, I put at, come on, like 75. Enhance image. And the paper age I brought down a little bit. So that lowered that color. So that was more the color I was going for. Again, I would have first taken this into retouch to get rid of that barbed wire along the front there. And then to save this, we're going to go to the home button. And here's where you have save. And it will save your image. Saving complete. Now, a cool thing about all these apps, in the upper right, you can see there's a little pair of dice. And what that does is when you click it, it randomly applies a preset. And this is something I think it's fun, like you're sitting watching TV and you're playing on your iPad and you want to do something and you're not sure where you want to go with an image. It's a fun way to see how some of these different apps or the different presets will look. And then you can always modify it from there. my suggestion is if you find something you like though, save it because you may never get back to that one again. So it's a cool way to kind of test out some of the stuff that's in here. Next, I'm going to do Impresso. And we're going to get our photo. And we're going to use this dogwood one. So we're going to do like a painterly look on here. Again, it's randomly applied in effect. I'm going to use Alla Prima and Modeled Light. So for this one, you can see we have different icons now. So on the next one, we can control the size of the brush, the bristle depth, how much it's really going to show up all of the effects. So I'm going to make my brush size a little bit bigger. Bristle depth, we're going to make bigger. Color enhance. And painted edge. Yeah, really about there. Okay. And then the next icon is going to let us control whether it looks like it's on canvas or linen. I'm going to do canvas and I'm going to up the strength on that. And I'm going to zoom in some so you can kind of see how it actually looks like it is on canvas. Next is artistic finish. And I haven't ever really changed these. I kind of like what the preset has, but you could, apply one of these and it just changes a little bit of, I guess, the toning of it. It'll warm it up and change your colors a little bit if you wanted to cool it down so you can see how the different ones react. And then once you've gotten what you want in here, this last icon will let you add more detail to a certain area. So these to change it, we just where the little circles are, you can move it down, resize it. So if we wanted to say add more detail in the center of that flower, and then you can control the brush size. And I haven't seen a huge amount of difference in it, but I guess, if you're a painter, you'd probably notice it more than what I would. But you can use that to add some detail in a certain area. Then go back to our home, save, and we're good. I'll show you one more. Well, actually, I'm going to show you two more. My two other favorites, Grunge-tastic. Get our photo and go to our album. And I'm going to use this lantern. Again, not the preset I want. So we're going to go in here. We're going to go to grunge and number 7. And then we're going to make some changes. So I'm going to enhance the contrast a little bit. And these are our textures, and you can see there are a lot. There's 108 textures in here, and this has 2 textures applied. So I went with number 1, and I take that back, number 8. And I made the strength of it a little bit more. We're going to go to the second texture, and I use number 30. And I changed the color. Down there. And if you wanted to add an edge, you could do that. This one has one applied. And the one that it already has applied has the blue line around it and all of these, but you could, try something else. And you can change the color. If I don't want black because that doesn't show up very well, I could change it to white. And then choose a texture that I like. Something maybe more similar, and we could change the strength of the edge, which is like lowering the opacity as well, kind of like that. And then back to home and save. And then the last one I'm going to show you is the black and white. Get photo. It's our barn. And click in here, go to black and white one. And I'm going to, on the soften and sharpen, I'm going to go a little more sharpened. Darken and brighten. A little bit brighter. Can add more contrast if you need. You could change the toning, but I think that's okay. The portrait icon lets you adjust the RGB. So if you wanted it to be not quite black and white, you could adjust this a little bit. So I put that to like 60. And the oval spotlight is what we have going on, and that creates kind of a vignette effect here. I'm just going to bring back the opacity of it. Want it to be that dark. We all know our vignettes shouldn't be so overpowering. It should be very subtle. So more like that. Home. Save. And there you have it. I do like this for black and white because you can, really control it, and it does a good job compared to a lot of the ones I've seen. Yeah, and because I've already done the others, we've actually gotten through them all already. Do we have any other questions? Yeah, so all of the Jixie picks again are available. Oh, there's one more I wanted to show you, deep artifacts. Take that back, one more. Last one. This one is called Deep Artifacts. This is also available for your computer. And actually, my husband is going to do a session on this in our next conference, which is coming up February 21st and 22nd. And I'll talk about that in a second when I put up my final slide. So we're going to do, I got to go to my folder. Come on. That's not what I want to do. No, down here. I'm like, how do I get to my folders? Down at the bottom, I'm going to go here, and I'm going to use, let's do the water towers. So this one does this is the one that reminds me of the remix filter. And I favorited some that I happen to like. But there's a ton of effects, and they are customizable. So let's apply one. And it takes a few seconds. It does use AI to analyze everything. This one is both Apple and Android. It's $3.99 for the app. I don't remember the price of the desktop version, but I do use this sometime on my desktop, and you kind of can see it just gives it that very unique kind of painterly look, very much like Remix did in Topaz. And we'll click on the sliders. You can see you can control the intensity of the effect. So you can pull that back a little bit. You can sharpen your image more, add more contrast if needed. You can brighten and darken. Go a little brighter. You can adjust saturation. And you can also either do a grayscale or color version. So it is another way to play around with a black and white if you've got this artistic effect on there. And to close this panel, it's hard to see on this image, but in the upper right, there's a check mark, and that will close down that panel. And then this lets you it puts their watermark on it, I think. I don't remember that I can import a watermark in here, so I've never used that. So that would be, and this is where you go to save it. So we're gonna hit the down arrow, and then it saves it to your library. But it's a fun one. You really do have to try some of the different effects because they're all very different. And you know, what looks good on one image doesn't look good on another, just like with any kind of presets that you use. Yeah, that one's a little bit stronger. Coffee is a little bit more subtle. So that one's definitely a lot more subtle as far as the actual effect, and it modified the colors a little bit. But that is all of my apps. So let me stop sharing my iPad. And I will bring up my final slide that has some info. I know a lot of you probably already get my blog or my newsletter, but feel free to sign up for those. Our conference, as I mentioned, is coming up in February. We also do one in June, and we have 8 speakers, 13 hours of seminars over the 2 days. You get, if you sign up during the extra early bird, you get the best price at $39, and you also get an extra 30 days to watch the replay. So instead of 60 days, you would get 90 days. And then from December 1st till February 1st, it's 49, and after February 1st, it would be 59. You also get speaker's notes, a virtual goodie bag with some freebies and discounts. We always have over $2,500 in door prizes, and of course the recordings. And then I do lots of workshops. As I mentioned, I just got back from 3 weeks of workshops. We're hoping next year to do Route 66 again. We did it the last 2 years in the fall, and next year is the 100th anniversary of Route 66. So it'll probably be the last time we do this workshop. So if you're interested in that, what we do for that one is we rent a 15-passenger van, but we only take 7 people plus me and Dave. So we have room for everybody to spread out a little bit. And we've been doing it from St. Louis to Needles, California. And then sometimes if we film one trip, we've done it in reverse as well. Lots of fun, tons of stops. Get to go across country and see a whole lot of cool things. And then of course, all my stuff online, my books and textures and courses and all that fun stuff. I also do webinars every other month. My next webinar is on November 11th, and that one is going to be on, I forgot the topic. Actually, it's going to be smartphones. It's going to be different in all this stuff, but it's going to be on smartphones. You know, similar to what we did today, but it'll be all new projects and possibly some different apps as well. I'm still working on that. I'll be finishing that up this week. All right, any other questions? Let me stop sharing. And all this info is another sheet that I sent to Jeffrey to send out to everybody.
I'll get that out to everybody in the next day or two between all my other
all
projects.
your other things going on with your Halloween walk, you know.
I end up having a lot going on, but no, that's great. And this works out well. I wanted to have you on because Wacko is adding a smartphone category, probably for spring competition. So we want to, we're starting to bring more people in to talk about the smartphone stuff.
Sounds good. Yeah, it's definitely, you know, another way to go with our photography. You know, I love shooting with the camera, but like I said, I'm more and more using my iPhone these days because it's just, especially if you're shooting indoors, like at a museum or something, it's so much easier because you don't have to worry about the lighting as much. It's just so much simpler.
Yep. And you always have it with you, usually.
Exactly. 99% of the time we do.
Yep. I always have my phone with me. So, yeah, it's a lot of good information. Yeah, got me to buy two 2 apps this time. So
There you go. There's a lot of good ones, and most of them are inexpensive. Sometimes
yeah,
I've noticed a lot more apps are going to subscriptions, like with software in
yeah,
general. Um, and that's good and bad. I mean, as long as they keep updating and improving it, I don't mind. But I used to have a black and white app that I loved, and when I first bought it, it was like $21 or something. And I thought that was a lifetime price. I don't know. The next year I go, oh, your app is coming up for renewal at like $24.99. I'm like, no, I don't use it enough to spend $25 a year on it. So that's when I found the Jixie Pix one, and that's what I use now for my black and white.
yeah. And I have a lot of Jixie pics,
Yeah.
both on my computer and on
Yep.
my phone. So
Yeah, like I have the 18 app suite and
yeah,
on the computer, and it's it's a lot of fun to use.
I probably should have done that. I keep buying just bits and pieces of it, and I should have
Yeah, well, I
probably
think
bought the
because I
whole
had
thing.
so many on my phone that when I went to get the computer one, I'm like, well, I want this, I want that. So it was like pretty much
Yeah,
everything I wanted in that one package. Um, so yeah, it's a lot of fun, and just like with anything, you got to jump in and try it and play and move sliders and just see what it does.
yeah, yeah. That's the big thing, is just playing with it,
Hmm.
and
For sure. All right.
that's what I end up doing.
Yeah,
When I get
that's the
bored, I
best.
grab the phone and start playing with a
Exactly.
photo.
Yep, most definitely. All right.
So,
Well, thank you for having me back again. I appreciate
well,
it.
thank you, Hazel, for
And
coming.
yeah, I look forward to
You
seeing
always
everybody
have
again.
great stuff, and
Thank you.
we'll definitely be having you back again,
All right.
hopefully with a bunch of new stuff.
Hey, you never know what I'm going to come up with next. You never know
Yep,
what happens out there that I need to, oh, that will make a good, program.
yep,
So
yep.
that's why I
No,
did the one this year with the kind of getting back to some of the basics on how to improve your images, because
yeah,
when I judge, I find myself making the same comments over and over and over. And it's like, all right, let's do a webinar on this. A lot
yeah,
of clubs have picked it for this season. So
yeah. That was a good one, especially for us to get kick off the season. So,
yeah.
no,
All righty.
great. Well,
Thank you,
great.
everybody.
Thank you. You have a nice day.
You too. Take care. I
Okay,
appreciate it. Have
sure.
a good one.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Okay. We got a small panel today, which is funny. I know Marty had to leave, so uh, I don't have a whole lot. Anybody have questions or problems? Things to talk about? Like I said, Wacko is looking to add a smartphone category to the probably the spring competition. We're still working on what the rules will be. Um, we've got a couple of ideas how we might end up running it. One of my ideas had been that all the processing had to be done on the phone, but we're rethinking that and maybe just allowing processing either on the computer as long as the original image was started on the phone. So there's so many different ways to do this where we haven't quite figured all that out yet, and we've all been a little busy, so we haven't gotten it done. But by spring, hopefully, we'll have that category added to the Wacko competition. Um, and for anybody that wants, we do have our fall competition is going to be next weekend, next Saturday. If you're interested in watching the final picking of the medals, send me an email, and I'll give you the link to the Zoom meeting for that. But right now the judges are finishing judging the fall competition, and then we'll do the medal round on Saturday. Yes, Paul, I will get that emailed out in the next day or two. It might take me a day. I've got to take off right after this meeting and set up a spooky walk that we're doing tonight at a park that I work at. Anybody using Topaz programs? Yeah, nobody.
I do.
Okay, have you seen their new pricing structure?
No, I have not.
Oh, well, you might want to take a look. It's getting very expensive. I use
Scary for Halloween.
Yeah, I was using Topaz Photo AI, which is now going to be called Topaz Photo. And I guess you get grandfathered in if you already have it, but if you don't have it, gets to almost $33 a month. They've
Ooh.
gone to a subscription rate and are getting rid of the standalone stuff. And it's getting very expensive if you don't already have it. And I'm still trying to figure out their whole pricing system, but it's like $199 a year now to own it, which I don't use it often enough for that.
Nor do I.
I was kidding Marty. We had a good argument the other day about subscription because he doesn't like Adobe because of their subscription models, but everybody seems to be going to subscription. And even for me with Adobe, I'm starting to reach the end with them, and I would never have thought that because I'm paying $75 a month for all the Adobe products that I have, that I use, because I use so many different ones. And God, 2 years ago, it was only $49 a month. So it's gone up like 50%. And you start to think, how much more can you spend on, especially some of the apps I don't use that often. And I'm starting to look at alternatives. But I hate to have to go and learn new programs.
Jeff,
But,
do you think it's because of the AI influence that a lot of these
well,
apps are getting more expensive? I buy all the Adobe apps
yeah,
once a year. I think it's up to $700 some dollars I spend on that. Thank God my
right.
husband isn't in the room, so he would just
Yeah, well, like I
Yeah.
said, I've got their top tier program because I do so much where I need to create
Mhm.
photos out of the air that I still stayed with their top tier one, and that's $75 a month.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's almost $800 a year. That's almost back to when Adobe, when you bought a physical disc in that, I was paying $1,400 a year to have
Yeah.
their suite.
Yeah.
And the subscription rate was so much cheaper, but now we're almost back up to that price again.
But
And you
because I was
start to,
gonna say, I think, like I said, I think it was, I remember $6.99 I was paying, but that was two years ago. And I think it's up to like 781 for every Adobe product
yeah,
and type and the access to their whole, which is expensive, but I use a lot of variety of the
yeah,
different ones, so it's hard. And I've been trying to break away and use Affinity, because I'm not going to be able to do the newsletter forever. Just first of all, I'm having some vision problems,
yeah,
and it just, it makes it, I can't have somebody to take over and expect them to pay that amount of money, but checking from Affinity. But yeah, it's one of those things that I haven't gotten to it. There's just so much stuff that keeps coming into
yep,
elderly
yeah.
life.
Yeah, no, and I've been looking at Affinity products as well because it's a good replacement for InDesign
Right.
and Photoshop, but then you got everything else. You go to On One Photo Raw, which keeps getting more expensive every year, or Luminar Neo, and all the different ones. So one of these days
Yeah.
I'll probably send out a survey to this group to see what everybody's using, and we'll talk, because DxO's I don't remember what they call it, their raw program seems to be a halfway decent one. It's been getting a lot of reviews lately, and so always trying to find the least expensive way to do it. My problem is I know Adobe's Lightroom and Photoshop so well, it's so hard to switch off of them. But
Yeah.
it's pricing on all of it's starting to get a little nuts. A little hard when it's just a hobby. When I was making money at it, it was a whole different story. But I like doing the newsletters for the different groups, and I use InDesign for that. So, and now I'm
Well,
getting
that's
into
why
videos, and I use
it
different
keeps
ones for that.
it keeps me at least up to date on some of the new changes. But even those are like, oh God, a new update. Where did they put this? How? Okay,
Yeah.
now I've got all this AI. Well, I don't want a unicorn in the picture, that sort of thing. It's just I just want to make memories. Let's put it that way. That's more or less what I'm looking for. So, but you're right. It's almost as if you have to um, sell or use your
Yeah.
work as a means to support the programs that you use. And I'm not even talking cameras. Let's put it this way. Those things aren't getting any less expensive either. So good God.
Yeah. But well, we'll bring that subject up on another day too, when we after I do a survey, and we'll talk about what programs everybody's using again, because I know it's changing a lot, and that. Paul, I do Wacko's newsletter. I was doing PSA's newsletter, but we dropped that to an email newsletter that we're doing instead. So, and I do another newsletter for a different group that's not a photo group. So, done a few, and they're fun to do, but yeah, it takes a lot of time to get them done. So, anything else from anybody? Otherwise, I got to go set up some more animatronic stuff and create a spooky walk for Halloween for tonight for kids. We had over 200 kids last night, and who knows what we'll get tonight. So,
Good luck.
yeah, it's.
I think
It's
some people
different.
are at the Shalom Zoo or something today also.
Yeah, I
but-
think Menominee Falls Camera Club was going to the Shalom
but
Zoo in West Bend. Yeah, I
well,
forgot that was this weekend too. Hopefully we
when it
got
rains,
some
it pours. All right.
decent
Well,
members.
I'm
All
going
right,
to.
well, since we don't have anything else from anybody,
Oh,
you can rewatch this on YouTube. For anybody that hasn't, please subscribe to the Wacko YouTube channel. We're up to 105 subscribers, and we keep growing, and we're hopefully keep adding all these YouTube videos. Although Hazel's I only leave up for about 60 to 90 days, and then they get taken down because that's what she likes. But it's nice that we have all these people are willing to let us put it up on YouTube so you can rewatch it. So just go to the YouTube channel. We won't have it as much on the Wacko website because it was getting too hard to put all that stuff on the Wacko site.
I have
And
two
we've got
things.
YouTube.
I have two other things to say. Don't forget to get for the Menominee Falls Camera Club, get your dues in by November 1st. And also for the newsletter, the Whimsical President's Challenge, get those in today. I will be sending something out to remind you via email. But apparently I'm having trouble with my email. And I haven't transferred over to my new computer yet because there's a whole lot of not inappropriate, but stuff I haven't used in years that I need to get rid of. So, like
Yeah.
photos.
Always fun shifting
Yeah.
to a new computer. I just
Oh,
added
yeah.
I added
Yeah.
MacBook Air and been slowly getting that up to speed. So
Well, yeah. It's easy to transfer everything over, but I don't want all that crap, so to
yeah,
speak. So, all right. Well,
well,
have a good weekend, everyone.
yep, yeah.
I'm gonna
Thanks
have no
everybody
lunch.
for coming, and we'll see you next month. Phil Itea with four fabulous ways to process an image. So Phil's always
Good.
got some interesting stuff. So that will be next month, and I haven't started on next year yet. So we'll see what we get there when we get there. Great. Well, thanks everybody.
Thanks,
We'll
Jeff.
see you next month. So you're back from Door County, Joe, or
We're
are you?
actually in Door County right now.
Ah,
Yeah, we're enjoying the fall colors. It's really good. It's probably a few days past peak now. It's winding down.
okay.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
nights are getting colder fast. And that's affecting the fall color now. But
yeah,
it was pretty good up here. It was
yeah.
pretty
We're
rough
not
back in
seeing.
Chicago, further south.
Yeah,
It was pretty
yeah.
tough.
We're not seeing much here with all the floods and that. I think the trees got so stressed they're just dropping their leaves, and I'm not seeing much color at all. But
Mhm.
there's got to be some in a few spots. I got a couple spots I usually check that are pretty decent, but
Mhm.
I haven't gotten out there. I've been working too much. But
I'm pretty shocked about what you said about Topaz.
yeah,
That
take a look at it. They sent out a big announcement. As long as you don't stop paying, you get the grandfathered price. But if you stop and decide to pick it back up, it's ungodly expensive. And for the limits of what it does, they are bringing out a whole bunch of new apps, but
which I probably
with
wouldn't
it,
want to use. I use their gigapixel, and I like their denoise and sharpening, and that's about it. Uh,
yeah. And each of those now are like $17 a piece
so
per
they're still
month.
offering them a la carte. They're not all
They're
together.
all a la carte. They're not. They still got it all built into Photo now, Topaz Photo, but they also have them as separate programs that supposedly do more in
Oh,
that area, and they're cutting back what's in Photo, I believe. It's a very confusing
I don't know why you
mix.
keep tinkering around with that stuff. I was a little ticked
Yeah,
with them because a couple of years ago, all of a sudden I had the separate sharpening app, and all of a sudden it turned to a free trial. And
yeah,
what's going on? And I tinkered around with it. Why is it a free trial? I tried to I did a chat with somebody and they weren't able to help me. They didn't understand what was going on or feigned that they didn't understand what was happening.
yeah,
And all of a sudden they're telling me that, well, you can get the sharpening in the photo, which I didn't, photo AI, which I didn't have at the time. Is that okay? I guess I'll be buying photo AI. Uh,
yeah,
but it's kind of like they aimed me toward it. It was like, railroaded me into getting the whole thing.
yeah. Yeah, I used to have the separate
Unethical.
apps, and then I just dropped the separate apps and moved to Photo AI, and I've got it. Mine expires in January, and I'm trying to decide if I want to renew it because it's almost a $200 renewal every year,
Mhm.
and I only use it maybe once a month, once every other month, because I found Lightroom to be just as good, and it was quicker than going out of Lightroom, going into Topaz, and then coming back again. And I like the gigapixel, but I gotta admit, Lightroom's enlarging program has been working pretty good, and so I just use that. But yeah, I used to use Gigapixel all the time. That's what got me started in it, was
Exactly. Yes, same
Gigapixel.
here. Right, same here.
Um,
Gigapixel.
and and I can't even remember what they were called before it turned to Gigapixel, because I had it even before then. And it was such a good program. But yeah, they're just going to price me right out when I looked at some of the pricing for some of this stuff, and I go, I only use it once in a blue moon. I can do it a lot of different ways. There's a lot of good denoise programs out there. I use Nick Filters so much, and their denoise program's pretty good. So, and so is Lightroom's. So
When I was having trouble using the Topaz sharpening, they were giving me that free trial business out of nowhere, even though I had purchased the sharpening. I tried something I used a long time ago for sharpening. I thought, I wonder if this still works or if it's good. And it's high pass.
oh, the high pass filter, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
And I went back to it, and then you know you can use the different blending modes
yeah,
at the end. And I thought, wow, that's really powerful. It was like a rediscovery. And I thought, okay.
yeah, yeah.
And I actually thought this is just as good as what Topaz is doing for me on sharpening.
sure,
I've been getting artifacts on sharpening
yeah,
and Topaz, little areas of like screwball artifact, you know, patches,
sure,
weird
sure,
stuff going on. I thought, when did that start happening with Topaz? I don't know.
yeah,
Going
yeah,
on. So I'm not
and
using the sharpening now. Not theirs.
yeah. No, it's crazy. We'll probably do a long talk on it as I research all the different things, because even Adobe's getting me frustrated more, and uh, all of them are going to subscription. And I understand the subscription part. They need a steady income to be able to keep bringing out new improvements to the programs, but they also have to come up with some better pricing on it. Otherwise, they just price themselves right out of the market.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Adobe's big and can afford to lose customers, but they're not that big, and sooner or later it's going to catch up to them. But
I remember reading that Adobe has something like 20,000 employees.
yeah, yeah, they're a huge company,
Yeah.
and they
So
needed a
I
better
guess they have to keep churning and coming up with new products all the time.
new products and new innovations,
How
and
do you
actually they
identify
copy a
and
lot
support?
from everybody else.
Right,
So,
right. Yeah.
so it's a
Yeah.
little crazy, but yeah, I mean, I've been a loyal Adobe owner since Photoshop 2, I think it was, back in
Mhm.
83, 84. I think I got into it.
A long time. Yeah.
And I've had it for a long time, and it's come a long way, but
I was into Photoshop Elements at that time, and which was pretty good. I mean, you know, basic
yep,
photography things, you know, uh,
yeah,
nothing spectacular or anything, no special effects and anything. But
no,
it served
it's
us well, you know, for a long time.
yeah, it was pretty limited way back when I first started, because I mean everything was still on film, and you had to figure out, had expensive ways to scan it in to be able to even use the image, and go through all that stuff.
Yeah.
But
So are we
yeah,
still on for the postcard presentation?
yep,
Okay.
yep. I should get you. Uh, I'm not. Marty's the one that will send you a link for the video for the Zoom meeting. So that would be 1 o'clock on whatever date that was. I don't. I've got too many groups going. Yeah, because that's actually coming up,
So
like a
November,
month
yeah.
away. Yeah, November 16th. It looks like, um, and it would be 1 o'clock till however long you end up going. Um, so
November
make sure.
16th. Yeah, I've got it down, 1 o'clock, Waco postcard program.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay.
And our meeting goes from 10 in the morning, then we break at noon for lunch, and then we have the afternoon speaker.
Okay.
So we do a bunch of stuff in the morning, which I don't think you'd find too interesting. So it's just a bunch of business stuff more than anything.
Okay, and we'll probably
But,
skip that.
But yeah, Marty runs that Zoom. But yeah, we'll make sure we get everything out. Thanks for sending the photos, because I want to publicize it in our email newsletter now.
Okay.
We decided to get rid of a regular newsletter and just send out emails. So
I
getting
threw
so
in comedic postcards as well as serious ones. I don't know if you looked at them or not, but
yeah. Well, Chapter is looking to add a postcard contest in.
Mhm.
So I said, well, we got the perfect speaker for talking about postcards.
we run the postcard competition. Both of us.
Yeah.
if we
So,
can't go. Yeah, we even
Yeah.
actually did a presentation to Tulsa on it because they wanted to set up a postcard competition, and that was through PSA. And they actually did after we gave them our presentation.
yeah, that was one that I thought Wacko could do, but we weren't sure how we could do something like that on, as a digital setup. But
Mhm.
we're trying to come up with different ways to do competitions, because we're getting less people entering competitions these days.
Yeah, well, we're finding that out too with CAPCO. There's like
Yeah.
diehard people that always enter. Well, you get new members, they don't enter, and some of the diehard people, there's attrition.
Yeah.
People are dying out, but
Yeah.
yeah, there's sometimes there's less interest in the competitions, and seems like young people aren't interested in competitions.
Yeah, we're not, and we're having a hard time. We're arguing on how to bring in new people, but we don't want to go to the groups that are going to bring in the people. And Wacko's struggling a little bit.
CAC has been struggling now.
Yeah, I think we're all struggling because we're all getting tired of. I mean, I've been involved in Wacko since, God, I don't know how long, since the 90s. And I've always had some position in it, and I'm trying to back out of it. And there's nobody to replace me, or it took 3 people to replace me for the program section. And they're having a hard time. They've had to cancel a couple programs because not enough people are showing up. And
there's one club. I asked the president. I know him. He's been a judge for club competitions. I said, "So how many people in your club right now?" He said, 2. How is that a club?
Yeah.
It's my God. So is the president, the vice president, or
Yeah.
what's going on? And he said, yeah. But that, there's been several clubs that have died out, but there's been a couple, these diehard people that have coalesced separate clubs, and there's a couple that, came in. But there was one, the Lake County Club, they used to meet at Lake County College, and they had this really nice auditorium set up, and just a few years ago, it seemed like they had big audiences and all, and then get on stage and be the judges, and now we find out after COVID, they're back in a church basement, and they're can't afford the auditorium, and there's too few people.
Yeah, that's crazy. I mean, Menominee Falls is still holding that 50 to 60 members, but we're doing almost everything Zoom. I know we have our urban ecology group got kicked out of the building, and they had to reform their group into now they're a Milwaukee photo group. Not sure why they had to leave Urban Ecology Center, but getting a lot of changes. Plus, we're losing clubs too. But it's hard to know.
I'm president of the Greenbrier Camel Club, and you judged for us.
Yeah,
And we were happy when we got 2 new members and increased our population by 20%. Our membership went from 10 to 12. And we're holding it that 11 or 12 thing. But if Marie and I mean, we run those competitions.
yeah,
I supply the Zoom. I pay for it myself. I don't
sure,
charge them because I use Zoom for personal reasons. So I don't want to charge the club for it.
right.
Say, well, 50% of the time I use this for the club and 50% personal. So pay me half. I don't do that. I just, but people tell us if it's not for you guys, there wouldn't be a club because nobody's capable of running a Zoom meeting. Nobody's capable of using the judging app that the competition assistant
Yeah,
judging app that CAPCA uses. So it's kind of like you. If Marie and I decided to quit, well, that's the whole club just dissolved.
yeah. Yeah, I worry about that with Menominee Falls. Wacko's going through growing pains because now they had to form a small committee and they ended up buying their own Zoom so that I wasn't supplying it because I wasn't going to be able to make some of the meetings. I wasn't going to make 50% of the meetings a year, and I couldn't turn my Zoom over to them. So
Are you still doing prints? We're not doing prints anymore.
no,
Huh?
we haven't done print since COVID. We keep
A lot of clubs have quit doing prints. At CACA,
yeah.
there's several, they still hold print competitions because there's half a dozen or so clubs that are still doing it. But that's, waned and, dwindled down through.
Yeah, we'd like to do prints, but we don't want to start holding the meeting. I mean, then it's a all-day competition for us, and the Ken and I just don't want to go through that anymore. And we're the ones that basically are running the competition right now. Our competition chair said she had to, she was into other things and she couldn't keep going. So she just basically retired because that's the only way you get out of doing stuff in Wacko is you say you quit and you walk away from it. You can't, if you say you're going to do it and you don't walk away, you don't end up getting out of it. That's how I'm still stuck in it. It's like, don't want to see the competition fall apart, and I'm one that I don't like competition, so I'm not sure why I keep doing them, but we're going to be at the next Wacko meeting trying to find a new competition chair and somebody to run competitions, and I don't see anybody stepping up to do it.
No. Do you have a separate competitions chair for each category?
No, just for the whole competition.
Right. At
But
CACA, you have a separate competition chair for like PJ or portraits,
oh man,
nature. So, and that there's a competition chair and an assistant, and then they run their competitions on Zoom, separately, and then for prints they do prints.
yeah. See, ours, well, you've judged ours a couple times. We just do everything all in one, and because we only get about, I mean, Wacko has probably 400 or 500 members between all the clubs. We get about 36 to 40 people that submit for competition out of all that.
Yeah.
So Wacko is not a competition interested club group, most of them. And that's why we stopped entering Council's challenge for PSA, because first our rules don't match PSA's rules. And so half our images wouldn't fit, and for us trying to figure out what would fit and what wouldn't. And then we never do well because Wacko isn't a competition club. I mean, CACA is a competition group.
Mhm.
A heavy part of them is certainly competition. So is California and a couple of the other groups like that. So
Oh, by the way, congratulations on the on winning the website award,
oh, thank you. Yeah.
and the newsletter too. I think you
Yeah.
both,
We do
which
all
is
right with the
fantastic. That's always
newsletter, and
good. You know,
yeah, thank you. Well, I sort of got lucky on the website. Marty didn't get PSA entered in a couple of his websites, and he does such a good job that he usually beats me. So this time they, he didn't get his websites entered, so I ended up shifting up a spot. But we've learned together how to do all this stuff, and Marty's a lot better at it than I am. Although I know some areas of it better than he does. I know the financial back end a lot better, how that works, because I do that for so many different groups. But yeah, I love doing websites. I wanted to retire and just work on doing websites for people, and I keep getting involved in other groups where I'm physically active in it, and I don't want to be that physically active. Some of this Halloween spooky walk, I'm putting in 8 to 10 hours a day this week,
Oh, geez.
running it, and I'm not doing a lot of the work because I can't work in the dark on uneven ground. My balance is too poor, so I've got a lot of other people doing it, but there's still a lot of other stuff to do with it.
Yeah.
I'm glad this is the last event I have for my season, and now I'm gonna have some free time, I hope.
Yeah.
But so it happens. You volunteer, and you.
I'm finding out what it means to get old. Everything's starting to hurt and everything. You know, what doesn't hurt is numb, and I'm
Yeah,
thankful for the numb parts. You know.
yeah. I'll take numb over the hurting. Last night I woke up
Right.
at 2 a.m. and my whole body just ached from all the stuff that I was doing, lifting and moving things, and the joints hurting and all that. And I go,
Yeah.
oh man, I need to
Yeah.
stop doing some of this.
Yeah, my knees are totally shot. I've been living, in pain for the last few years, and I went to the bone and joint guy, and I cried uncle. He said, a year or two, you're going to cry uncle. And I said, well, I'm at UNCL, and I'm just about to say E. And he says, okay, here's some information, a packet, and call our people, and we'll arrange for an operation,
Yeah,
knee at a time. And then he started talking about a saw or whatever. And then I'm thinking, no, please stop. Don't give me, it's too much
yeah,
information. I don't want to hear that.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. I just started cortisone shots it's 3 months now since my last cortisone shot. And I was amazed how it was so nice to be able to get up and not have pain
right.
for 2.5 months.
Yeah.
But now it's starting to wear off. And
It
I
worked for
think,
me for 3 weeks. And, he told me optimally it'll work for you for 3 months, and then you can get
right.
it done. And it worked for me for 3 weeks. And it was
Yeah,
wonderful.
I'm fortunate. It's still working in one knee. My really bad knee, it quit about a week ago, and I still got about 3 weeks before I can get my next shot.
Mhm.
And I'll probably, if I would stop using that knee so much, it'd probably do a lot better. But I've been to get rid of at least that pain. I still have muscle pain, but the bone-on-bone pain that I have went away, at least for a while. And
Yeah.
I also
I
got
tried the
bone
gel. Did you try
spurs.
the gel shots?
And that's going to be the next step, and see
It
if
didn't
that
work for me
helps.
at all. But
Yeah,
now it worked for my wife. So, but I think once you get to that bone on bone, what is it, stage 4?
yeah.
You can't expect,
He's Yeah. They said you can't expect too much, and then I've got bone spurs on both kneecaps that are
oh,
digging in and causing pain. They said you're just going to have to do it, and I said, well, I don't have time till this winter, and maybe this winter I'll have it done,
yeah,
at least on the the bad one. And but yeah, you know, who wants to go through all that? I've heard good results, and I've heard people that have really bad results.
I know. That's the scary part. I've heard both too.
So,
Yeah. Mostly it's been good results for, for a lot of
yeah,
people. But
yeah,
I'm surprised how many people have had it.
yeah,
Have had it done. It seems like nearly 50% of the people we talk to, in our age group, they
yeah,
said, they've had it or they're scheduled for it or they're doing the gel shots or whatever. And it's coming down the pike, that.
yeah, yeah. I know it's coming, and I'll probably try the gel shots first to see if that at least helps get me a little longer.
Mhm.
And because I mean, I'm only 67. It's pretty early to get the knee stuff done, and
Mhm.
I'd rather wait a little. If I could get into the early 70s, I think I'd be better off. 'Cause that should get me to the end of my time.
Yeah, I'm 75, so
Yeah,
I'm further along. Yeah.
yeah,
Used to
but
play a lot of tennis on hard courts. Um, Sometimes 6, 7 hours a day when I was in college, younger and stuff. And I think that's what started it all, just worn it down.
yeah,
Uh, but it's
yeah,
probably hereditary too. My father had painful, well, he never complained about anything, so he didn't know what was going on with him. But he walked very gingerly down and up and stairs and stuff. Did a lot of wincing. I didn't understand
yeah,
what was going on because when you're young, you don't understand what's going on. If they're not complaining, they're not having an operation or whatever. But yeah, so there's probably some heredity in that.
yeah.
Mhm. But luckily, they
uh,
say it's a lot more successful. The success rate is higher, and it's not as invasive, and it's not as traumatic.
right.
It's
Yeah, that's
outpatient.
why.
It's outpatient. My
Yeah,
my mother-in-law, my wife and I had to give blood donations because she was going to get transfusions. This was in the 80s. She was getting a knee replacement, and that was such a big cat. Sorry, but
yeah,
yeah, having the uh, that's serious where you have to donate blood for them. It's
right.
nothing like that at all. Nothing like that at all. So yeah,
Yeah.
outpatient.
No, it's amazing, and that's why I figure the longer I can put it off, the better it's going to get. And
Mhm.
soon to just go in, boom, boom, you're done, back out, and you're on your way,
Right.
almost walking.
Almost. Yeah. I've talked to a few people. They said they couldn't believe it. They said that they were told that they're going to have a walker and then a cane. And then they said, well, the walker was like one day, like out of the hospital. I said, well, I don't need this anymore. They went right to the cane and they were able to walk around on the one knee. But
Yeah,
now, see, at least no, both my knees are bad, so I'm not looking forward to
yeah, both of them.
you know,
Yeah,
taken care
but
of, and the other one's got to support me, and that still hurts. Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
I think
Well,
it's.
all right, I gotta go get over
I'll
to
let you go to
my
the Halloween fun too.
Halloween park fun and
Yeah.
do that. So,
Okay,
well,
well,
it's
good
good
talking to
talking to
you.
you, and
Same here.
I'll definitely get you. One of us will get you all the info for the Zoom meeting for the chapter. So appreciate you doing that for the postcard thing. So, all right. Well, have a good day. Oh, I think you froze.